Hi, I'm Gil Benbrook from Phoenix Stages and TalkingBroadway.com, and I am here at Arizona Broadway Theater with the Cast of Titanic, the musical, which runs here in Peoria through November 10th. So first, let's just get this out there. This is not a musical adaptation of the blockbuster Oscar-winning James Cameron film. That none of you will be singing "My Heart Will Goes On" or proclaiming that you are the king of the world. Instead, this musical, which won 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, focuses on the real facts of what happened 106 years ago now, along with the actual passengers and the crew members who are on board. So, Olin, you play E.J. Smith, who was the captain of the Titanic. For someone who doesn't know the history of the Titanic or about this musical, what would you tell them that this show is about?
Well, it's an excellent look at how ship life really was, because you get to see everyone from the officers on the bridge to the waitstaff to the crew in the engine room shoveling coal, and then a look at all of the different class levels as well, first class, second class, third class, and you really get to see how all of them lived on that ship and really what they experienced during that time.
I mean, it's a fascinating study. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great, like you said, you really get the sense of the 3 different classes, the crew member, everything, and some fantastic music as well. Yeah. What do you have to do in relation to playing someone who's based on a real person, as opposed to playing a fictitious character in another show that you've done?
Well, I think that you do need to do research and make sure you're true to their story as much as you possibly can be, especially when it's a real person. But in my case, my character is sort of, she ended up surviving and so did her husband. And in this production, it's a little bit different. So there's a little bit of difference, but I think her, as a whole, she represents the second class. So you just kind of have to research what they lived like, how much their tickets were when they boarded the Titanic, and I don't know, just stay true to that as much as you possibly can. As far as preparation as an actor, you still want to bring all these levels in, whether it's fictitious or a real person. You want to think about their life and know them as well as you possibly can.
No question, unfortunately. So John, we talked about how the show represents the various classes on board the ship, and your character is Barrett, who was a stoker who works in the boiler room, feeding the steam, feeding the coal to the boilers that provide the steam that actually make the ship run. So you're the most important person on the boat, basically.
Well, I wouldn't say.
But you're really the lowest of the lowest class. This is a show that's really about the hopes and dreams of everybody on board. And I personally think that your character is one of the most hopeful. So how do you portray that in a show that really is full of so much devastation?
Yeah, I mean it's a challenge, and what's so great is having that chance to see the Titanic every single time I come out on stage for the first time. You have to be so present that realizing the end is known, what's going to happen is going to happen. But for them at this time, and this was the pinnacle of any engineering possible that they've been able to conjure at that point, to be able to see something that seeing it was going to historically impact the fate of the world has an impact on you, and trying to make that new every night, it's of course a challenge, but to stay there until it gets too late is something we worked on with our director Danny Gorman all the time, being like, we all know what's going to happen, but what's important about the show, we know the ending, but how do we see these people as people? That's what's important. The show needs to show the relationships, humanize the tragedy in of itself through their humanity, seeing their visions and hopes and dreams. The effect of the show after the fact is just magnified if we do the right thing.
So Jill, you talked about your character as Alice, and she is a woman who's a little bit of a busybody. She's in the second class, but she really wants to hobnob with all the people in the first class. Yeah. But you're also a woman who wants more out of her life, which at the time, in 1912, women weren't really kind of expected to have much more than what they were given. Mm-hmm. So what is your most favorite thing about playing such a multi-dimensional character?
I just think that, and maybe it wasn't normal for the time, but that's why she's pushing her husband so much. She's like, come on, honey, I think that, once they find out how much you know about hardware, they're going to want to invest in us. And I'm trying to pull him along with me and be ambitious with me, but in the end, it's just not for him. But I don't know, just I love peeling back all the layers of a character and being able to sympathize and relate to her in that way. Like, that's not me as a person normally, but I find a lot of joy in her and in that. And I, can sort of pull from certain experiences of being super excited to see a celebrity on the street for the first time,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I don't really...
And there were a lot of celebrities on board. I mean,
Yeah.
millionaires,
I think she was probably at home looking at the newspapers daily and reading about all these rich people probably her whole life, kind of like we do with the gossip magazines in the grocery store. So like to actually have them in front of you, and she's just rattling off all this information about them. For someone from Indianapolis, Indiana, she knows quite a lot.
She's
So.
very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's for sure. With the research you've done, what do you think was to blame for this?
I'd have to 100% say the iceberg.
When in doubt, blame the iceberg.
Yeah, I think the iceberg doesn't get enough of the credit for the sinking. But no, I think it's sort of like one of those like perfect storms where like one thing happens, then the next happens, then it snowballed until it was just like inevitable. Like Ismay kept pushing the captain to go faster and faster, and even though the captain had 40 years of experience, knowing he shouldn't have gone faster, he still pushed it to go faster. But the man who built it said, well, we're capable of doing it. So I was like, well, if it's capable, so I think they're all culpable of at least a part of the blame.
What do you hope audiences will take away from seeing Titanic here at ABT?
Yeah, I hope that they definitely just take that sense, like you said, that the relationships, the people on this ship is what's driving this ship. It's, of course, it wouldn't be impossible to spend as much as possible to be able to give you that feeling, to make the stage tilt, to create some sense of splendor and grandeur inside of that beyond what is really important in the story. And what they do so well in the story is divvying up your interactions with these people, snapshots, vignettes into these people's lives that instantly give you so much information about them that you can't help but be just sucked in. And what they accomplish on this stage is unbelievable with the lights and the effects that we're capable of having. But I really hope that the people just take realize that the humans on board, we're just that.
Yeah.
Like we've said.
It's more about the people on board as opposed to the ship.
And
Exactly.
I think that Yeston's score lends to more of the drama of the sinking of the ship, so we don't need to do it physically. It's there in the music, and you can feel that.
Yeah, there's an urgency to the
Yeah.
score. One of the great things that you guys have here is you've got a fantastic cast and a fantastic orchestra that I think really, really get a true sense as to what the show is about.
Mm-hmm. I think just since we've opened and being in the lobby after the show and you greet people on the way out, it's just been interesting to see the impact. It's not the same as other shows that we've done here. Like, they're really blown away and moved by it, and it's a wonderful thing to see. And I'm hoping that we're above and beyond their expectation, even though the movie does kind of set up.
Yeah.
That's like the number one question I got was, "Who are you playing, Kate? Are you playing Kate?" I'm like, "No, it's not. No, sorry."
Well, thanks, guys, so much. Titanic the Musical here in Peoria at Arizona Broadway Theater through November 10th.